What happens at midnight boardroom meetings?
What time is it?
2:16.
This clip comes from the movie Margin Call. We're gonna break this down and see exactly what is happening.
So, Sam, what do you have for us?
They'll be here in a minute. Finding somebody in the copy room at this hour was a little bit of a challenge.
Okay, let's go right into the introductions. This is Sarah Robertson, who you know, Chief Risk Management Officer, Ramesh Shah from upstairs, and David Horn, one of the firm's in-house counsel.
Nice to meet you all. This is my head of trading, Will Emerson, and this is...
Peter Sullivan and Seth Bregman. And they work in our risk department.
Where's Eric Dale?
He was let go today.
Who do you have left in your risk department?
As of today, that would be Peter and our junior analyst, Seth.
Really?
Right off the bat here, there's a dynamic that is going on. We go through the introductions, we get all of the players in place, and the guy at the head of the table, Jared Cohen, wants to know where are the other players, finds out that they're not there. Those slight pauses that he makes communicates a lot. He doesn't need to say anything to express his concern, his disapproval, his incredulity. Just one word, really? It communicates all of that. And so even in this, he doesn't need to explode. He is not emotionally dysregulated or anything like that. He's able to just say, with pauses and with few words, to communicate a lot.
Apparently, Eric had been working on this for some time, but he wasn't able to finish it. This morning, as he left the building, he handed the program to Peter here and asked him to take a look at it. Peter did. He put a few things in that Eric seemed to be missing, and this is what came out.
Peter, is this your work?
Mostly Mr. Dale's.
Right here, we are going to see lack of psychological safety. So there were no parameters that were put in place to ensure that we're going to be safe here. We just want to know the truth, or we just want to gather information. Nobody's in trouble here, anything like that. And so what often happens is we default to a defensive position. And so when Peter is asked, is this your work? There's two things happening. One, he wants to give credit to Eric Dale for the work that he's done, but also he wants to shield himself from any negative repercussions. It would be similar to some of the things we saw in the Apollo 13 series about how guys were saying, hey, this has never been done before. In that instance, Gene Kranz gave incredible safety. It said, hey, I'm not going to hold you personally responsible. I just need to know, is this going to work? That's how you create safety. Here, we're not seeing any of that. It's just answer the question.
But is this your draft?
Yes. Again, expanded on the original work by Mr. Dale, but yes.
What's your background?
My background?
Your CV?
I've been with the firm for 2.5 years working with Eric that whole time, but I hold a doctorate in engineering, specialty, and propulsion from MIT with a bachelor's from Penn.
Asking these questions without context, it almost seems accusatory or attacking. To say, what's your background? What's your degree? Pressing in, almost like it's trying to question the legitimacy of the outcomes. And so whenever we're doing that as leaders, it undermines the safety that's needed for our team. A better way to do this would be to explain why I'm asking the questions that I'm asking. I want to make sure I understand the full parameters of this. We're not making any decisions at this point. I just want to understand both the scope of the problem, and I want to understand your credentials, because this is big information that you're bringing to us, and I'm concerned about the validity of it. So can we talk about your background? Where did this information come from? Providing that context is very helpful for creating psychological safety, even if you need to address something that is very challenging and could be sensitive in nature.
And I'm guessing by the fact that you two haven't said anything that the math checks out.
Look, we'd need some time to go over this, but Mr. Sullivan here seems like he knows what he's doing. So it would appear we have a problem.
Okay, a couple of things are happening here, and we're going to see the hostility increase. So when Jared says, I assume that since you haven't said anything, the numbers are correct, that was actually really good because he was stating the assumption. We get in trouble when we act on assumptions without clarifying them. And so to take those assumptions, put them on the table, whether they're positive, negative, whether they could be detrimental or advantageous, put them on the table and say, these are my assumptions, are these correct? So when Sarah responds, look, the tone and the facial expression starts to raise that hostility. It's almost saying, you don't know what you're talking about, let me tell you. And you start to get this infighting. And then when she finishes and says, it appears we have a problem, that is coming across in a condescending way.
Oh, thank you for that. What time is it?
2:16.
Sam, how long under normal operations would it take your people to clear that from our books?
What?
Sam's response of what is not simply asking for information. It has an edge to it. And so in this room, you're feeling, instead of a collaboration and a coming together, a separating and everyone retreating to these defensive positions. So Jared is recognizing the severity to the company that this report has. And so instead of coming together, everyone is retreating. Jared is recognizing that and saying, oh no, I'm in trouble. Sarah is having that accusatory, is like, well, yes, we have a problem. Peter is trying to defend himself, saying, hey, these were Eric's numbers. I added a little bit, but hey, don't look at me. And now Sam is responding with this, what? It has an edge and an attack to it. Like, why would you even ask that? It's not a curious, help me understand. And so from almost every corner on this table, you're getting this type of a focus, an attack and then defense, rather than an aligned, guys, we have a challenge here. Let's come together and work to find a solution.
All of it.
Yes.
I don't know. Weeks.
Weeks.
The body language, the nonverbals, that direct eye contact, it is aggressive. The facial expression that's very set and rigid, all of this is communicating confrontation. So now we're at loggerheads with each other. We're not collaborating, and this is where poor decisions come from.
Yeah, weeks. But you certainly know that our business is selling and buying. Doesn't work for very long without both components. We suddenly stop buying for a day or two, that's not something you can hide under the rug. That gets out. And when it does, this whole thing comes to an end, and right quick.
Even his interaction is very condescending, and the way that it is phrased, again, it comes across in this attacking way. You do realize the very basic nature of our work, right? And he's telling that to his superior, who clearly understands the business. But this whole dynamic, fighting against one another, pushing, trying to get jabs in, self-preservation, all of it creates a hostile environment, and good solutions rarely come out of a hostile environment like this.
I understand.
Do you?
Yes.
What Jared just did right there helps to diffuse the situation. Jared, a sense that he understands what's happening, and Sam comes back with a jab. Do you? Again, it's not looking for information, it is an aggressive attack. Jared could have responded in any number of ways, but he just calmly, coolly says, yes, I do. And then moves on. He doesn't engage. And that is a good leadership move there. And we're gonna see this throughout this series. These leaders sometimes make good leadership decisions and sometimes make poor leadership decisions. And there's a technical term for that. It's called being human. It would be very easy for us to categorize this is a good leader, period, all the time. This is a bad leader, period, all the time. But we are all a mix of both. All of us have good leadership decisions that we've made and poor leadership decisions that we've made. And I think part of the benefit of watching something like Margin Call is to see that true humanity, and we can learn from both so that hopefully we can all grow to become a better leader.
Jared, as I look at this more closely, it is these VAR numbers that are setting this thing off.
Excuse me.
Okay, so this is just kind of odd. He just gets up, walks out, no explanation, but it feeds into that lack of psychological safety. There's little genuine communication. And I understand in crisis mode, there are fast decisions that need to happen, but we see many examples of good leaders having clear communication even in the midst of crisis. What's gonna happen now is, now that Jared's out of the room, now the gloves are gonna come off and the attacks are gonna start happening.
Last year, we would not be in this position if we had done what I...
Please.
Here we go. Now, between Sam And Sarah, I told you about this. You should have known about it. Sarah's like, yeah, I know. And before she can push back, Jared's back into the room. But you see this whole toxic culture here of assigning blame. Whose fault is it? And this self-preservation. And it completely misses the point that we have a massive problem that needs to be solved. Put your ego to the side and let's focus on solving the problem.
As I was saying, and I speak completely off the record, it's only a matter of time before someone else starts putting these in and they come up with exactly the same results and look at exactly what we are looking at right now if they haven't already.
Understood. And Sarah, what value would you allow to be placed on those assets that might remain on the books if they had to?
Why would they still be on the books?
Because suddenly nobody wants to fucking buy them.
Fuck you, Sam. Will you give me a fucking break?
And so now it's all boiling up to the surface. All of this infighting, posturing, defensive, self-preservation, attacking, it is all starting to boil over. You have interrupting, you have talking over one another, you have these verbal attacks. It is so detrimental. When Sarah asks why would they remain on the books, it seems like she's asking a genuine question. Help me understand this. Instead of waiting for Jared to answer, Sam cuts in because nobody wants to buy them. And then boom, that ignites. And Jared cuts into Sam. Sarah now picks up on that.
Excuse me, Jared.
Without an active market, it would take weeks or months for me to come up with an accurate value on them. You'd have to go block by block.
Yeah, look, Jared, it's a very simple business, right? We talked about
Sam.
this.
And so now Sarah jumps into it as well. I can't get an accurate value on this. It's going to take me so long to be able to do this. Again, it's that self-preservation, that defensiveness. Like, I'm not getting into this. I'm putting myself as far away from it as I can. You continue to have this fight amongst one another instead of saying, we have a massive problem here. How are we going to solve this together? An excellent leader would be able to rise above and say, all right, here's the problem. No, we have our differences. What can we do to work on this together? What ideas do we have? Let's put a few out on the table. Let's start working the problem and not fighting against one another. How do we avoid this? A couple of things that we can do. One, we can set a clear agenda. Everyone comes in, go through brief introductions and say, here is why we have gathered. This is the challenge, and then this is our goal and objective. We want to leave this meeting with at least 2 ideas on how to respond. And then we invite the discussion. And again, conflict is not the problem. Conflict will happen. It's how we work through it. Do we give respectful space for others to voice their opinions? Do we validate the emotions? That is the role of the leader, to bring that team together. So we set a clear agenda. We have a clear goal. We get clarity on the problem. These are just some simple steps that could be taken even in a high pressure situation like this. If this video was helpful for you, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. If you have a TV or movie character that you would like me to analyze their leadership, drop that in the comments below. This series on Margin Call came from your recommendations in the comments, so please keep those coming. Until next time, take care.